What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. I hope you guys have all had a great Thursday. I hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft. Tonight we are hopping into a 12-team full PPR mock draft, and I'm super excited to throw together another squad with you guys tonight. So y'all know what to do, man. Hit that like button on the way in. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for being here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on the way in. All we do here is free fantasy football content all year round, redraft, dynasty, and best ball. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button. But most importantly, guys, hop in the live chat. Let me know what's popping. Let me know how you guys are doing. Any fantasy football topics, any NFL topics. Let's get it going. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football. Okay, I'm going to send out one final warning on Discord, and then I'm starting the mock draft right away. So, give me one quick second, and then we'll be underway. So, we had the Dalvin Cook situation to go over, but I feel like, I don't know. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen, right? But so Dalvin Cook officially released by the Minnesota Vikings today. We knew this was going to happen. So, I mean, it is technically news, but at the same time, it's news we kind of already knew about, right? So, yes, Alexander Mattison is going to be a name that is going to move up on draft boards. I think he'll be kind of right in that area of like Rachaad White, Isaiah Pacheco, and he's kind of already been a round or so past that in mock drafts currently. So I personally like him around that value, and I know a lot of you guys out there do as well. So yes, I am in on Alexander Mattison. I am perfectly okay with drafting him. But at the same time, we need to see a full, we haven't seen a full season of Alexander Mattison as an RB1. So am I worried about it? Not really. But I do think at the end of the day, his current ADP, let's see, Sleepers got him at 97.2. He's going to be going a little bit higher than that. Obviously, hasn't been adjusted. Like I said, let me see if I can pull up our last redraft mock, which I should definitely be able to. Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift, 6.9. David Montgomery, 6.10. Isaiah Pacheco, 7.3. Alexander Mattison went in that particular draft at 8.2. So, yeah, I think, depending on a fantasy manager's personal confidence, anywhere from like the 5.6 to the 7.5, I think is pretty fair for Alexander Mattison. There are enough people out there who have, that kind of full-on faith in the Minnesota Vikings offense. It was a productive enough offense last year that I don't think it's too crazy to have that faith. I mean, Dalvin Cook last year was still your RB11 in full PPR. 1,100 yards on the ground, 8 touchdowns, 295 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. So it's not like Cook had a bad year. And so you imagine Alexander Mattison, who we don't really have a great sample size from. We know what he can do, right? We've seen him be the lead back when Cook hasn't played, but it's still hard to really evaluate his overall career stats. So I think it's perfectly fair to say that he could get close to those Dalvin Cook numbers, right? But the things we need to monitor throughout the offseason in terms of Alexander Mattison, obviously, rookie Dwayne McBride is on this team. How is that going to impact things? I personally like McBride a lot. I think he's a very talented running back. I still think Madison's the RB1, don't get me wrong, but we're going to have to evaluate those touches, right? And then there are still a lot of veteran free agent running backs floating around. And there is somewhat of a possibility that one of those veterans does end up with the Vikings. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. But like I said, I do think that is a real possibility as well. So at the end of the day, I still am going to be happy with Alexander Mattison at the moment. And I do think, like I said, his ADP is going to move up. But I don't think it's going to move up too drastically. I think it was Michael posted on Discord. Or no. One of you guys posted on Discord, like Alexander Mattison being drafted in a Underdog draft, like before Travis Etienne. I don't see that happening. That was you, Taylor. Yeah, I you know. I don't. I'm not that high in terms of ADP, but I do like Alexander Mattison. I understand why people are excited about this. So we'll see how it all plays out. I still think Mattison will probably be the RB1, but like I said, we just want to kind of monitor any reports coming out of training camp of other running backs in that backfield, and/or if other running backs are going to potentially end up on that team, being the Vikings. So on the other side of things, we now have Dalvin Cook as a free agent officially, and where's Dalvin Cook going to land? I don't know. There have been at some point in this offseason scenario with almost every team, I feel like. So we've got the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins as the two teams that most people are talking about. So I don't personally know if I don't know. There's just so many reports out there, right? The Dolphins would be still confusing for me because they just gave Jeff Wilson a contract. They gave Raheem Mostert a contract, both short-term contracts, but still two veteran running backs that they signed. And then they go out and draft Devon Achane as well. So, we talked about this earlier in the week. If that happens, I could see Wilson or Mostert getting cut, but I don't know. It feels like that backfield is already set. Don't get me wrong. Dalvin Cook to the right team will have an immediate impact. So I could understand why there are, offensive-minded teams who might already have a pretty solid backfield coming up in terms of teams looking at Dalvin Cook. But when you look at the Broncos, I think that makes a little bit more sense because Javonte Williams coming off a major injury, and then the next best option would be Samaje Perine. So I actually like the Broncos kind of as a landing spot more than the Dolphins. But outside of that, there's been so many names that have been put out there in terms of teams that Dalvin Cook could potentially go to. So, of course, Dalvin Cook posted a picture on his Instagram of him. It was either pre or post game against the Dolphins in the Dolphin Stadium. So, that was bringing a little juice to the conversation. But we'll see what happens. Overall, I just hope Cook goes to a team that doesn't make things a complete headache from a fantasy perspective. So we'll see how things shape out. But yeah, I've heard the Commanders, I've heard the Bills, I've heard the Cowboys. There's, it's already that time of year where speculation's all over the place. And it's just an easy scenario to speculate on. And you have to be careful with loose reporting this time of year as well. So, but definitely spicy updates for the day. So let me know what you guys think. Dalvin Cook, where do you guys think is going to land? Alexander Mattison, how high are you guys personally on Mattison going into season? All right, let's see who's on the live chat. Astro, what's going on, man? Good to see you tonight. Thank you for drafting with us. Andrea, hello. Good to have you in the draft as well. Smoke at the cat. What's up, my guy? Always good to have you in the house. Godfather, what's up, dude? How we doing, man? Appreciate you guys being here. Thomas, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Heard Dalvin Cook seen in a Beckham jersey. Could be Miami. Yeah. It could be. Like I said, it's hard to pin down right now. All right, so I desperately need to draft some wide receivers. Give me my boy. Give me DJ Moore. Yeah, so going heavy running back tonight. Went Eckler over Bijan, switching it up. But Eckler, Hall, and Gibbs feels pretty good, but also going so heavy at running back early. Not what I usually do. We'll see how it works out. Albert, what's up, man? Sir Bongs a lot. What's going on, dude? David, I want to trade down from JJ. I have Wilson, Waddle, St. Brown, JSN. Whew. Beautiful wide receiver group. And I start 3 wide receiver and flex 3. The team that has Olave and Lamb doesn't want to trade them, so who should I trade down to? I mean, if you're going to trade Justin Jefferson, you need to seek out the most amount of trade capital as possible. I don't know if there's really another name in Dynasty or Redraft who holds more trade capital than Justin Jefferson right now. So, I mean, personally, like, yes, I do think you're in a position where you can afford to trade one of your wide receivers. Don't get me wrong, you've got a great group. But at the same time, that's a pretty good group for a play 3, flex 3 team. I mean, JJ, Garrett Wilson, Waddle, St. Brown, and JSN. I don't know if it gets better than that. I might hold there, David. What do you think? I mean, yeah, if you were able to trade for both Olave and Lamb, I might even still ask for an additional draft pick in that scenario. But I don't know. I mean, if you're able to start JJ, Wilson, Waddle, then flex St. Brown and JSN, then just kind of figure out that next flex spot, I think that's a really, really good position to be in. What do you think, man? Smokey says if you have the conviction, that's right, man. Bossman, I'm liking these new sleeper ADPs. Yeah, they are a little bit updated. This is kind of the time of the year that they do kind of continuously update them, which is always good. Sir Bronxlot, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing, man? Andrew, what round for Madison? Yeah, like I said, based off of our last redraft mock, I think really anywhere from, it just depends on personal conviction, right? Anywhere from the end of the 5th to the mid-7th is where I think he'll land. And then it also just depends on the specific draft that you're in. I mean, how many running backs are off the board? Is it a running back heavy draft that's going to potentially push up ADP? So we'll have to see. It's probably going to take like a week or so for his ADP to really settle in. And then, of course, as the offseason progresses, it could always change, right? Taylor, Madison had 1 run over 15 yards last year and 3.8 yards per carry. Dude is so overrated. So that's fair, right? Dalvin Cook, kind of his specialty is really breaking off those big runs. And that's really where he gets his yards per carry overall. But I do think yards per carry is kind of a, I don't know, it's not really a stat that I personally look at anymore. I don't know. I think it's, as time has gone on, there are a lot of pass-heavy teams who, running backs on those pass-heavy teams have higher yards per carry because the defense is playing the pass more. And then teams that aren't in that situation, running backs are a little bit more limited in yards per carry. So, but don't get me wrong, they're good stats to pull up. And for me, Dalvin Cook, 4.4 yards per carry last year, a lot more opportunities. So let's see here. Dalvin Cook, 264 rushing attempts. Madison, 74 rushing attempts at 3.82 yards per carry, just going off of last year. So at the end of the day, I wish I could pull up in front of me. I mean, I probably could. Dalvin Cook, a lot of breakaway runs. So that definitely helps that stat for him. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, between the two backs, there's a reason why Cook has been the starter, Madison just has been a good fit within the offense. So we'll see. But once again, I mean, that's the main thing. Like, we still don't have a great sample size to go off of. And really, when you look at it, like, there's still a little bit of risk associated with Alexander Madison when you really think about it. So I think, you know, him and that respective tier of running backs who really haven't had like a full year, Rachaad White, Isaiah Pacheco, even James Cook. I mean, other guys in the conversation who have had full years, David Montgomery, A.J. Dillon, Antonio Gibson, those type of guys, right? I think he's pretty fair to be in the conversation of those players. All right, let's go Lockett. A lot of good running backs available right here, which is, I mean, I just can't afford to draft a running back right now, but a lot of good names on the board. But yeah, I mean, right now, at his ADP, he's in between Brian Robinson and Jamal Williams. So I actually think, I don't think that's too unfair, but I do think he'll move up slightly. Slightly. We'll see how it plays out. Marco, what's good? John, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Can't wait to see you ends up with the golden ticket, Alexander Madison. Yeah, he will be drafted tonight. We'll see where he goes. Good to see you, man. David, thank you. It was torn on days. Was torn for days on what to do with JJ. Yeah, I would just hold him, dude. Unless, I mean, like, Lamb, Olave, and a early pick you could consider. But truthfully, man, in a dynasty league, I would not move on from JJ. And your wide receiver core looks great. I would try to keep that together. So, Jake, what's going on, dude? Drake London or JSN? It's very close. I might lean London there, but it is very, very close. This is a tough draft pick right here. I just think that the value of running back on the board right now outweighs the value of wide receiver. I mean, there are a couple different names I could go with right there. Treylon Burks, George Pickens, JSN, lock up two Seattle receivers. But I just think Rachaad White was the best draft pick. So I'm probably done at running back tonight. This is that RB heavy squad. There you go. Alexander Madison off the board at 7.5. There goes Burks and JSN right after. Yeah, I chat. Let's run the poll for Jake. Who you drafting? Dynasty. London. JSN. Let's decide for Jake. By the way, guys, if you guys are in our league number 1 for our Superflex Dynasty Leagues, we're drafting tomorrow night. I'm so excited. So excited. Thomas, I don't think it's fair to judge Madison being he hasn't gotten a full season. I do agree. We kind of touched on that throughout tonight. Think he runs a lot like Cook. Maybe I'm wrong. Dobbins, Pierce range. Yeah, I mean, those guys still going a little bit earlier. I mean, Dobbins went at 4.7 tonight. Pierce went at 5.6. I think Madison will still go a little bit later than both those guys. If he moves up into like that DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, James Conner type range, I won't be surprised. But I think for now he's probably going to stick around the Pacheco, Rachaad White area. So we'll see how it works out, though. Coast to Coast says, y'all are letting Andrea draft the perfect team. Andrea generally drafts a very good team. Russian, what's going on, man? Sleeper draft, but Underdog hat. I don't have any sleeper hats. They have never sent me a hat, and they do not sponsor me. So, but we ran an Underdog draft last night. I always wear this Underdog draft when I stream. It is actually kind of dirty. I've worn it every single stream, like, since I got this hat. So, I probably do need to wash it. But yeah, no sleeper gear. And I don't know that Sleeper actually does any like sponsorships or anything. So, but shout out to Underdog. Double your first deposit up to $100, dollar by dollar with promo code TheCatch. There you go. Good to see you, bro. Nice to have you in the house tonight. All right, so looking at the poll, London is at 67%, JSN is at 33%. So we'll let that sit for a moment. JSN is age 21, and as is Drake London. London going to his second year. JSN going to his first. I mean, you really look at the Falcons right now with London, Pitts, and Bijan. Like, they just could not afford to screw up the offensive weapons they have in front of them. They have got to build around those young playmakers. And please, from a fantasy perspective, please do so. If you're listening, Arthur Smith. All right, let's see here. I need a wide receiver. Let's go for some upside. Let's go J-Mo. I mean, probably not good for the first half of the season. This is a weird team I'm drafting tonight, but I kind of like it. Let's see how it shapes out. All right, let me know in the chat, scale 1 to 10, how confident are you guys in drafting Alexander Madison? And yeah, let me know, where do you guys think Cook is going to end up? J-Dub says an 8. Kind of been one of your guys all off season, J-Dubs. Andrew says a 10. Very confident. Taylor says a 1. Okay, so we kind of got both sides of things here. I like it. Man, my whole bench is just going to be wide receivers. I just don't like not having wide receiver depth. Thomas is a 7. I wanted the lizard man. All right, let's go Bateman. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's always value at wide receiver in these later rounds, but it's just not the same as guys like Olave and Smith, St. Brown, London. First round guys. It's just not the same. But there is some merit to RB heavy team if you hit on the right wide receivers. Kyle, are you guys running another after this? We probably could off air on Discord. And I mean, if you guys are interested in drafting, and you guys don't get into the draft for the mock, or the mock for the stream, excuse me. On our Discord, we have a mock draft thread. And, I mean, you guys are free to always set up whatever style of mock draft that you guys want to set up and send it out on Discord really any time of day, and odds are you'll be able to get it filled. So, I mean, we probably have at least 4 or 5 mock drafts ran every day on the Discord. So, we can certainly set up another one for the night if you guys want to get one going. All right. Russian, I like opportunity for McKnight. Why is there no talk of Arizona having interest on Cook? They have Connor. That's it. Yeah, that's another team that I heard brought up. I think the argument there is that, what it could come down to is Cook kind of looking at his quote-unquote suitors and looking at what teams are in contention to make it to the playoffs. And I just don't know if, I mean, I don't think anyone really thinks Arizona's in that conversation. But I've certainly heard Arizona as a team that could be a real possibility. Same with like the Washington Commanders, like two teams that wouldn't necessarily be exciting and would actually probably be bad for fantasy because it ruined James Conner's fantasy value, and then Gibson and Brian Robinson already in a committee. But certainly I think both are realistic possibilities. The Bills, I mean, I've heard that Cook does not want to go there because he does not want to affect his brother's career at the running back position, but that would also certainly be interesting. I've heard the Kansas City Chiefs could be in the conversation, but I do think the one thing that a lot of teams have to their advantage right now is that the running back market is god awful, and it's not like there's going to be a lot of teams swooping in and offering like a massive contract that's going to sway Dalvin Cook to go from one team to another. So if let's say it's the Denver Broncos or Miami Dolphins, Dallas Cowboys, teams that are looking like they're built like playoff teams, those are going to be the teams that I think have the best chance to land Dalvin Cook. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I certainly think there's a realistic possibility that there could be a lot of names that aren't really being talked about right now because they're not as attractive who could be real possibilities. So I have heard the Cardinals potentially in the mix. Taylor says they're rebuilding Arizona. In my opinion, they aren't going to want to pay another veteran running back. Yeah, we'll see how it shapes out. But I do kind of agree that they are definitely in a rebuild era for sure. All right, give me Schultz. Tight ends just got absolutely decimated. So it was Mitchell. Jadip says Cook to Denver. I like. Andrew says Cook wants Miami. I mean, it does certainly seem like he wants to land in Miami. I mean, those are kind of the signs out there, but we'll see how it shapes out. Gonna be a lot of speculation, and just kind of like imagine like there's all the speculation around Dalvin Cook, but Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, potentially Joe Mixon, Kareem Hunt. Like, there are still a lot of veteran running backs floating around, and it's a bad market for the running back position right now. It just truthfully is. All right, this next pick might be a little bit of a reach, but I just don't personally have a problem with quote-unquote reaching for this particular player. A couple names at wide receiver I like here: Zay Jones, Tyler Boyd, Sky Moore. A couple of rookies: Rashee Rice, Jonathan Mingo just went off the board. Got Randall Robinson for the Giants. Jaden Reed's out there. But I'm going to go with Rashid Shaheed because I like Shaheed. Then I'm either going to go quarterback, tight end in this draft, or double QB, or QB receiver. Or maybe even another running back. Because why not? Why not? Bossman, I've heard Cowboys, but that would take a big pay cut. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be. I think the Cowboys I think they want to sign a veteran running back. I really do, and I think they're going to be in the conversation for literally like all those guys I just mentioned, including this Ezekiel Elliott potentially returning to the Cowboys. Jacobs, he has to take a pay cut to go to any competing team. He definitely, I feel like, will be taking a pay cut no matter what. Taylor, Pete Carroll probably wants Dalvin. I mean, yeah. If Dalvin Cook went to the Seahawks, I would not be surprised. If he went to the Falcons, I would not be surprised. Arthur Smith and Pete Carroll just out there trying to Get as many running backs on the respective team. The Lions as well. Yeah, those could be the teams in the mix for sure. Why not? Andrew says Cook wants to be home. Oh, is he from Miami? Because I didn't actually know that. Kyle, where can I find your mocks you do on Discord? Give me 1 second here. So if you guys are on the Discord, let's see. So if you guys are on the Discord, make sure you go to reaction rules and make sure that you react. You just have to hit the mock draft button right there, like I just did, even though I didn't need to. And then once you do that, you'll be added to the mock drafters, and that'll unlock the mock draft thread right here. And that way you will also be able to be tagged whenever we're starting the mock drafts, or people are sending out invites for mock drafts as well. So yeah, just make sure you go to the reaction rules and you hit mock drafts. And for those of you, I mean, there might be some of you guys who haven't done this, who've been on the Discord for a while. So make sure you guys do that. That'll unlock that thread for you, and you'll be able to be tagged as mock drafter as well. Let me know if you have any other questions on that. Marco, loving my core with Mahomes, Kelsey, Stack, Devontae, Etienne, and Kirk. Can't go wrong there. If Cook goes to Miami, what round is he going? Obviously over Madison. It's a tough question, man. Because I still think it's a pretty loaded backfield if he goes to Miami. But I think he's probably still the RB1. I would definitely say over Madison, but it's hard to pin down, like, really what that ADP is going to look like. All right, give me the Goff. Trying to think of a nickname, and all I got was the Goff. But give me Jared Goff. Why not? Left Shaheed, try him with the late car home run. Yeah, I've definitely done that in a lot of underdog drafts. I like that as a late round stack. J-Dubs, I'll let you get Shaheed because I got Mingo. I was a little afraid you might go Shaheed. But I like Mingo at the 11.2 as well. Taylor, I'd for sure buy a Cook Miami jersey. I do like the Miami Dolphins jersey. All right, I could really go any direction here. I could get a 5th running back. Spend a lot of early draft capital on running back. I could get another receiver. I still have 6 on this squad, but like it wouldn't necessarily hurt. Or I could go with a tight end too. I mean, Jawan Johnson, Dawson Knox, Noah Fant. There are certainly names out there. But let's have some fun. Let's go Anthony Richardson here. Let's add some upside at quarterback behind Goff. Aaron Rodgers there, Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, Kirk Cousins. There's still some names out there. Derek Carr. Well, let's go for some upside. But I don't necessarily mind any of those moves potentially. Bryce Young moved up to quarterback 1 on the depth chart for the Panthers, by the way. Let's see here. Taylor says, "A rich snipe." My bad. John, what's going on, man? Mayer could come out of the gate strong. Absolutely. I like Mayer. And he's not even, he's still available. I mean, him, Laporta, Kincaid, Musgrave, all those guys could do well early on for sure. All right, let's start doing some team reviews. Let's see what we did tonight, boys and girls. Thank you guys for drafting with me. I had a blast. All right, box in the jacket, the 1.1 tonight. We got Fields at quarterback. I am perfectly A-okay with Fields. That's my guy. Higbee and Laporta, late round tight ends. I don't have a problem with that. Higbee gets staph infection back. He was your tight end 6 last year. We just talked about Laporta, should have an early roll. Chubb, Jacobs, Pacheco, Harris, and Ford. Can live with that. Like the handcuff of Ford towards the end. JJ, Judy, Mike Williams, Mike Thomas, Lazard. Okay. It's a solid redraft build, man. In terms of a late round tight end value, I think you did fine. Wide receivers, there's some injury history between Judy, Williams, and Thomas. Might be something to think about, but plenty of upside at the position. So you're starting Fields, starting Higbee, starting Chubb and Jacobs, JJ and Judy, flexing Mike Williams, and that second flex, I mean, you got Pacheco, Mike Thomas, Lazard, and Damon Harris. So Ford and Laporta, kind of let them sit back, see how their season plays out. So, yeah, from a redraft perspective, I'm okay with this. Just some injury history with some of those wide receivers. You know, could bring a little bit of risk, but certainly a lot of upside. Yeah, man. Perfectly fine team. How do you feel about it? All right, Cats at the 1.11. What's up, Cats? We got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Say no more. Interesting night at quarterback. Lamar, the first quarterback off the board. And overall, quarterbacks fell back just slightly for the night. Hurts a good value at 4.2 nonetheless. And Njoku and Everett at tight end. Good, another late round tight end build. JT Gibson and Brian Robinson got both of Washington's running backs. Jalen Warren, Evan Houle. So kind of a light RB team. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Debo, Hollywood, Deontay, Juju. Yeah, wide receivers look good. Interesting build overall. I may have tried to diversify over Brian Robinson. Maybe go A.J. Dillon, Cook, even A-Chain. But I do like the value on Jalen Warren and Evan Houle. So we'd be starting Hurts, starting Njoku, starting JT and Gibby, starting Amon-Ra, Debo, flexing Hollywood, flexing Deontay. Juju's an option in the flex as well. And Brian Robinson too. But really, for that RB2 spot, you're probably going to be rotating guys throughout the year and utilizing the waiver wire and potentially trading. So that's okay too. But other than the RB2 spot, looks pretty solid to me, man. How do you feel about it? Coast to coast to 1.3. All right, we got Dak and Russell Wilson at quarterback. I mean, I'm okay with that. You know what you're going to get out of those guys on a weekly basis. Hopefully, Russell Wilson has a higher ceiling this year. Goddard and Nkonkwo, good tight end room. C-Mac, Henry, Harris, Mitchell, I can live with that. I mean, I might try to get one more running back with this build over one of the tight ends or quarterbacks just because, you know, Mitchell's essentially a handcuff for you and you might need just a tad more depth. I'm okay with just 4 running backs. But I would try to, you know, maybe not have one of them as a handcuff potentially. But Mitchell's still a good pick in the 10th round. All right, at wide receiver, we got Watson, Terry, Addison, Beckham, and Boyd. Some good late round values there. Went pretty heavy at running back early, as did myself tonight. So you're starting Prescott, starting Goddard at the tight end position. Starting C-Mac and Henry. Yeah, then, I mean, we're starting Watson, McLaurin. You're probably flexing Harris and probably flexing Jordan Addison. But if Addison takes a little bit of time to get going, then you've got Beckham as an option and Tyler Boyd. So, yeah. I mean, good depth at quarterback and tight end. I might try to go diversify the team in terms of that 4th running back. Good enough late round wide receiver value. Yeah. How do you feel about it, man? All right, Taylor at the 1.7. All right, late round QB build, but we got Danny Dimes and Captain Eli Kirk Cousins. So you got the QB9 from last year, the QB6. You got Mandrews at tight end. I know you're happy about that. Miles Sanders, James Conner, A.J. Dillon, Penny, and Pirine. Good running back value tonight, man. Hill, Higgins, Allen, JSN, and Myers at wide receiver, okay? So you're starting Danny Dimes, starting Andrews. Could start Cousins if you want. Starting Sanders and Connor, starting Hill and Higgins. Probably flexing, I might say Allen and A.J. Dillon, but honestly, like Allen, JSN, Dillon, Penny, Pirine, Myers, any of those guys could end up in the second flex or even the first flex. So this is a good position to be in. You know, you got 2 starting quarterbacks, a stud tight end, 2 stud receivers, 2 running backs that I think you can depend on, and then everyone else on your roster can fill in those flex positions. So, yeah, a good build tonight, man. Hopefully Myers hits for you. I mean, I think it's a good selection in the 11th round. Hopefully JSN gets rolling sooner rather than later. So, team looks pretty good to me. How do you feel about it, man? All right, let's see. Astra, thoughts at 1.5. Ended up with a chunk of the Browns offense. But if Watson doesn't work out, we got Geno. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, Watson and Geno in redraft, perfectly fine with that quarterback group. Waller at tight end, I'm fine with, but I still I think we need to pay attention to the injury history with Waller. Maybe consider a young tight end behind him. Trey McBride, Greg Dulcich, and Conquo. Even maybe a guy like Musgrave or Jawan Johnson. I mean, just another late round tight end. Stevenson, Akers, Madison, McKinnon, Foreman. Good running back value tonight for sure. Kupp, Waddle, Cooper, Godwin, Elijah Moore. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with this team. I don't think... you got 2 Cleveland wide receivers. But I don't think you necessarily... It's not like you reach for them or anything. So I'm not completely against this squad. So you'd be starting Watson or Geno. I mean, with this team, maybe Watson, right? Starting Stevenson and Akers, starting Kupp and Waddle, flexing Cooper and Godwin, but you could also flex Madison, potentially Elijah Moore, McKinnon, and even Foreman. I mean, this is a good team. Yeah. I don't mind this team at all. I think it's one of the more complete teams we've looked at tonight. Just good value throughout the night, man. So, how do you feel about it, man? I'm okay with it. Boss man, what we do tonight, man? All right, we got Allen at quarterback, Komet and Ertz. I'm okay with that. Hopefully Ertz plays this year. Barkley, Swift, Kamara, Gainwell. Can live with that. Once again, if you're going to go 4 running backs, me personally, I just might try to diversify just so I'm not purely relying on a handcuff. I mean, especially with Kamara in the mix, I might try to get a running back. I mean, don't get me wrong, at 12.5, I do like Gainwell, but I might just try to diversify in case I need the depth. You know what I mean? All right, Olave, Hopkins, Dotson, Cooks, Davis, Rashee Rice. Wide receivers look pretty good. Good value tonight. So you're starting Allen and Komet. Barkley and Swift. Olave, Hopkins. You're flexing Dotson. And that's second flex, right? I mean, you got Kamara, as long as he's not suspended. Cooks, Davis, Rashee Rice, Gainwell. So you got plenty of options in the second flex. But core roster looks pretty good to me, man. I mean, a good amount of upside. Allen, Barkley, Swift, Olave and Hopkins, Dotson. Kamara's out there. Like, him in the flex is fine. Cooks and Davis, good upside picks where you got them. I like Komet as your tight end 1 in the 10th round. Rice and Gainwell, good value. So, yeah, team looks pretty solid to me, man. Just might want to, potentially think about the running back depth there is all. All right, J-Dubs, what's up, dude? We got Burrow at quarterback. T-Hawk and Dulcich, tight ends look great. Quarterback's perfectly fine. Interesting build at running back tonight. We got Tony Pollard, James Cook, Devon A-Chain, Kendre Miller, Tajay Spears. Yeah, I mean, like, that's fine as long as Cook and Pollard are healthy. And I like A-Chain as much as the next guy, but A-Chain, Miller, Spears could take some time to get rolling. I do think they'll all have some sort of value in redraft next year, but it might take a little bit for that value to really show. So you certainly need one of those guys to hit early, just in case anything happens with Pollard or Cook. But you're really relying on those two running backs. But don't get me wrong, waivers, trades, all that stuff, right? Chase, Metcalf, Pittman, Tony, Mingo, wide receivers look solid. Starting Burrow and Hawkinson, obviously. Starting Pollard and Cook. Starting Chase and Metcalf. Starting or flexing Pittman and Tony. So like you have A-Chain, Miller, Mingo, Spears, Dolchich on the bench. A great tight end too, then a lot of rookie value. So my only note would be it might take some time for some of those guys to get going. So like I said, you just, especially at the running back position. Mingo's fine as your fifth wide receiver. But you need A-Chain, Miller, or Spears to come on early. I think A-Chain's the best candidate. But if Cook goes there, that complicates things, right? We'll see. But yeah, team looks pretty solid. Cats, I feel like locking down two backfields is an interesting strategy. I want to try out. At worst, I have two run-heavy teams' backfields. I mean, yeah, I'm not completely. I mean, yeah, so you went with JT and Evan Hull as well as Gibson and Robinson. So I'm not completely against that. You just want to make sure you're not hurting your overall depth is the only thing I would be wary of. You know, if you only draft 4 running backs, you know, like in your case you have 5, so yeah, but like Warren's a handcuff, you know. It's just like if you only draft 4 running backs and you know, you have Swift and Gainwell, Swift gets hurt, then you're down to 3 running backs. And even then with, you know, Bossman's team, if Kamara is suspended, it's a tricky situation. You look at Coast to Coast team, got C-Mac and Henry out there. And if C-Mac gets hurt, well, then you're down to 3 running backs, including Najee Harris. So, all right, let's see. All right, Marco at the 1.9. What's up, man? We got Mahomes and Kelsey. Say no more. ETN, Cook, Monty, Jamal Williams, Roschon Johnson. Good running back value. Adams, Kirk, Evans, Sutton, Chark, Mooney. Pretty good wide receivers throughout the draft. Yeah, this team could... I mean, if the wide receivers produce, this team could be really nice. I mean, any team that has Mahomes and Kelsey, there's some risk because you're giving up some wide receiver running back value early on, but you're gaining a different type of value that just can't really be disputed in fantasy football. So you're starting Mahomes and Kelsey, starting ETN and let's say Cook, starting Adams and Kirk. Then you could flex Evans and Sutton. You got Montgomery, you got Jamal Williams. I think as the season goes on, Roschon Johnson will come on. And you got 2 good options in Chark and Mooney for the flex as well. So I like this team. Yeah. The team's up there for me tonight, man. All right, Andrea, what we get into tonight? We got Herbert at quarterback, Pitts at tight end, Bijan, Dobbins, Pierce, Khalil Herbert. Okay. Smith, Ridley, Burks, Moore, Sky Moore, Rondo Moore, and Sky Moore. Michael Gallup, Romeo Doubs. I'm okay with this squad. Good wide receiver depth. I think with you going a little bit running back heavy earlier, QB and tight end in the mid, it was good to kind of build up that wide receiver depth towards the end, but still got 2 kind of studs in Devonta Smith and Ridley. So you got Bijan. That's the good news tonight, right? So you're starting Herbert, starting Pitts, starting Bijan and Dobbins, starting Smith and Ridley. Then in the 2 flex spots, I mean, you got literally everyone else on this team. Pierce, Burks, Rondo Moore, Khalil Herbert, Sky Moore, Gallup, and Dobbs. Like you're in a good position for the flex. There's going to be at least 2 of those players who come on for you. And overall, team looks pretty good to me. Yeah. I like the starting lineup. Herbert, Pitts, Bijan, Dobbins or Pierce, Smith, Ridley. And then I think you could figure out that flex pretty easily as the season goes on. So team looks good to me. Jacob says, drafting for full PPR stance, I always gamble. I trust my ability to play waivers. Nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I mean, if like A-Chain and Miller come on within like the first 6 games, then you're in a good spot for sure. Draft of the night. I knew this was coming. Okay. I do like Marco's team. I like Taylor's team. I like Andrea's team. And I actually like Astra's team a lot. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I really feel like if Taylor's, like if JSN comes on early enough, Allen is consistent, not hurt this year, and Myers has a top 20 a year, I don't know. I might lean Taylor's team. But I do like Andrea's team that we just went over as well. Like if Burks and two of these late round wide receivers hit for the year and Pitts is okay this year, it's a very solid team. Marco's team with the early stack, Mahomes, Kelsey. Like I said when I was going over his team, with those late round wide receivers hit, this team is going to be really good. So it's a close race tonight. Those are kind of my top rated teams. It's a close race tonight, man. All right, let's roast my team. I got Goff and Richardson at quarterback. Late round QB build. I just think in redraft right now, that's where I'm going to be at. I did kind of, not intentionally, but I went late round tight end. I just got caught up staring at the wide receiver position. Then I realized oh my gosh, tight ends are being drafted left and right. So Dalton Schultz, my starting tight end. I'm not against that, but I'm not overly confident in Schultz with the Texans either. But he could be a very good security blanket for CJ Stroud. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much. So yeah, I usually don't draft Richardson. I usually go with Rodgers or Cousins right there. But I said, why not go for the upside tonight? Okay, early running back, heavy running back for the night. Eckler, Hall, Gibbs, Rachaad White. That's one issue that can come up if you go super heavy running back early, is you might not come back to the position. I felt like when I drafted Rachaad White, he was the best available player. I didn't want to go with one of the available wide receivers. And ultimately, if A.J. Dillon had fell out to 8.9 and I went wide receiver here, it probably would have been Burks or JSN or Flowers or Pickens. I mean, I like all those guys who won the 7th there. But if Dillon had fell out, I wouldn't have minded him as my RB4 at all. But he did not fall out. So I probably would have been going with Cook or A-Chain there. So I think the White pick is pretty solid. But yeah, Eckler, Hall, Gibbs, White at running back, and that is it. Wide receivers, DJ Moore, Ayuk, Lockett, J-Mo, Bateman, Shaheed. I just don't generally draft a team where these are my starting wide receivers. I've had plenty of teams where I'm kind of going hero running back, and I have DJ Moore and Ayuk, But I have two other studly receivers, whether it's Devonta Smith or Waddle and Hopkins or whatever, right? Metcalf. But ultimately, I think for kind of going for mid to late round wide receiver value, I did okay tonight. So I'd be starting Goff, starting Schultz. Not a very high ceiling between those two. Starting Eckler and Hall. Starting DJ Moore and Ayuk. Probably flexing Gibbs and flexing Lockett, which gives me Rachaad White, J-Mo, Bateman, Shaheed, and Richardson on the bench. So I'm okay with this team. I think this team could certainly work. It's just different from my normal build, so when I'm looking at it, I'm not overly excited, but I think this team could certainly work between trades and waivers throughout the year. And the running back value here is definitely good. Like I said, I think we hit on some pretty good wide receivers throughout the night. I had to kind of go for that upside with J-Mo and the upside with Richardson because, yeah, there was just some wide receivers on this team, starting tight end, starting quarterback, that maybe don't bring as much upside to the table. J-Dub says, I think with the ADP shift, I'm going to entertain going CMC early at the 2 to 3. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind him in that range whatsoever. I mean, after JJ and Chase are off the board, I don't mind C-Mac, Eckler, or Bijan. Don't mind Kupp, don't mind Hill. Just go get your guy. Don't mind Kelsey. Don't really mind Barkley. I think Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra are the two guys that could still creep up in ADP, man. I really do. We'll see how it plays out, though. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for drafting with me tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out. Talking fantasy as always. For those of you guys in League Number 1 for the Superflex Dynasty Leagues, we are starting our slow draft tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you're ready. I just want to make sure we are drafting. Yeah, 10 p.m. Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't 9:30 because the other league number 2 is 9:30 on Sunday. All right, guys. I'm just excited to hop into a real draft starting tomorrow. And yeah, man. Thank you guys for hopping into a redraft with me. I apologize we didn't get to do another Superflex startup mock before tomorrow night's actual draft. Kind of ran short on time tonight. But I think we're as ready as we're going to be, and we're going to see a lot of trades in that league. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for the draft once again. I know I've said that like 4 times now. So make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for being here. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on the way out. Check out the links down below. Follow us on Instagram, join our Discord. Best places to get updates on the channel. Announcements, mock draft updates, and invites. All that good stuff. Andrea, J-Dubs, Taylor, Box and the Jack, Marco, everyone else, you guys know who you are. Thank you guys for being here tonight. You guys have a great night. Everyone be safe. And I will be back on tomorrow night. Let me know if you guys need anything. Feel free to hit me up on Discord or Instagram or in the Sleeper app, whatever you guys need to do. And that'll do it for the night. So love you guys, man. Loves community. Love the Catch fam. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And